Brad, you get in front early in the third quarter and then they kick 10 of the next 12. Where do you think it went wrong after early in the third?
Oh, well, I mean, I think even before that, we were probably under pressure from the start of the game when they kicked the first couple, and it was obviously going to be one of those days where territory was going to be important, and it's almost like minimising the damage, like costly turnovers, because it felt like that sort of game that you make a sort of costly error in your back half. It can hurt you against all teams, but I think in particular it hurts you against Collingwood, and I think they had 12 shots at goal from their attacking sort of mid-zone. So, that by definition means we had the ball and they got it back in their front half. So I thought that was a big difference in the game, that they were able to generate their shots from front half turnovers. But yeah, I thought we got back in the game through some pretty simple footy, but then we started overusing the ball and again, opportunities to go forward and score, but instead we tried an extra handball and invited pressure and turned the ball over. So I don't think there was any one particular moment or any particular theme outside of what I've just said.
Is it today's results sort of a pretty accurate reflection of where the two sides are? I mean, greater experience on their part, perhaps greater talent overall, and that surety of ball use and stuff, just the ability not to make those big errors in big moments?
Yeah, I think that's accurate at the moment. But I've got I think there's a lot of really good signs for us going forward. Conceded a lot of inside 50s, but Zach Reid looked like one of the better players on the ground. Andy McGrath's job on Bobby Hill, Norm Smith medalist, really dangerous player, particularly in these conditions. A lot of really good signs, but I'd agree with the conclusion there that just a bit of their class and that elder statesman, Pendlebury side bottom were influential, and our midfield's been a real strength of ours, but we probably lowered our colours today to their 4 or 5 versus our 4 or 5. Even though a lot worked of what we did, that's the challenge of playing really good teams. I thought, while again some of their players had influence, we were able to limit a fair bit of that. So overall, but the weight of numbers, they wore us down.
So looking ahead from a development point of view, would you agree that it's skilled young players are probably at a premium to come onto this list? There's just a bit of a, I don't want to sound hurtful or whatever, but there's a bit of a vanilla look about quite a bit of the list. Does it need more skill, do you think, to be competitive with a Collingwood?
Yeah, I'll let our recruiters know. Well, would a coach like more skill? Yeah, we would. But our job as coaches is to develop the talent that we have. So my focus is on developing all those footy fundamentals that are really important to the game, and some of it's really simple, some of it's a little bit more technical. But yeah, I mean, our list profile is there for all to see. But I mean, my focus is not on the list management crew do all of that, and I'm part of that. But I mean, my primary focus is developing the talent we've got, and I've got a lot of belief in their capability. I think when the team starts to look good, everyone looks better. And I think there are a million examples like that. You look at players who I know are really capable, really talented players, but if they're in bottom teams, they don't look very good. But you can take a pretty good player and put him in a great team, and they look $1 million. So I think it would be unfair on our players, I think, to say it's just, we lack skill. I think we've got the capabilities well and truly within the group we've got.
You mentioned the start of the game. How do you think they adjusted to the conditions? Was that part of what gave Collingwood the jump? They're better sort of adapting to the conditions?
No, I didn't think it was. I just thought it was at a premium. There's some really good rules that have been brought in. The 666 rule, a little toe poke in the centre bounce, which clears the ball. That territory was just going to be so important, and there was just a few times I thought we could have, because when we went forward in the third quarter, we looked pretty dangerous, but we just couldn't get it there enough. And that's to not just us, that's to Collingwood's credit. I think they fill the corridor very well. They keep you out of the corridor. They delay the ball really well. which makes it difficult to, to generate the number of inside 50s that you need. And we've probably the last 18 months been a pretty high inside 50 team. We've adjusted that a little bit to try and get better quality. But I mean, we just didn't get the quantum today.
There were reports that comms between the box and the bench went down in the third quarter. How much did that affect you?
Well, it was pretty old school. We just had to get the mobile phones out. It was pretty frustrating. I mean, that's as helpless as I've felt in a quarter of footy when we can't communicate to the bench. I mean, every time I went to go down to the bench, they said it's back on, and then it came back off. It's like, we couldn't work out what was going on. But from what I hear, we weren't the only ones.
Just Dylan Shield, Harry Jones, both came off. How are both of they?
Shield just cramped late in the game, so we had enough. We made our sub, so we had enough fresh players to. That was purely just a fatigue thing that we left him off. We're always going to sub a tall for a small, so we actually made the sub with Jones before. I'd heard that he just rolled his ankle, but he's pretty upbeat. I think it's pretty minor, if anything.
Sorry, just to clarify, how long do you reckon you were before the phones came out without contact? Sorry.
Pretty much the whole third quarter, intermittently. But I think it's the same for both teams.
When you have such a they've got so much more experience, the game's in the heat at the moment. How much of an impact did that really have communicating with young players?
Yeah, I think it has a lot. And full credit to Collingwood's experience. They I don't know how many Anzac days this is for Pendles, but it's he just looks really like he did when he first came in as an 18, 19-year-old, very composed, and it's a great opportunity for us to play in on this day for a whole host of reasons. But to play against a very, very experienced side, and to be whatever it was, 27 points down, challenge, get back in front, show some character, fell away at the end, but. We'll learn our lessons that they were just a bit more polished, had a little bit more class, and certainly had more experience.
So from your point of view, if you're satisfied with the effort, and the effort was clearly pretty good, what do you have to focus on as a coach to elicit that greater improvement? What do you sort of turn your attention to?
Yeah, it's a really hard question to answer. Well, the easy way to answer is just everything. Like, we've been... pretty good in the contest, pretty good in the clearance part of the game. I thought we got beaten in that area of the game today. We're really excited about what we have forward of the ball in our forward half, but we've still got a lot of work to do and just system there and getting our players to gel. It's certainly not for a second saying that it's youth, because we rate Isaac Kako, Nate Caddy extremely highly. But it's just gelling with Peter Wright, Cole Langford. They haven't played much footy together. So I think that the forward half cohesion is pretty important. And in the back half, we worked really hard on that. And under a fair bit of pressure today, I thought they held up, for the most part, really well.
Brad, how significant was Sam Durham's second quarter? Because he seemed to go to Nick Dacos a little closer, and Nick didn't have a significant second quarter, but he also seemed to spark you offensively as well. Yeah,
Durham had the match up with Dacos for most of the day, even though the way we were trying to pretty much do what we did last year in round 17 with limit the damage. But Nick's added another element to his game, which is centre bounce work, which is it's pretty hard to stop in there when you're 4-on-4 and 50 metres of space. But Durham, clearly Dacos, if he's not the best player in the comp, he's in the conversation with a couple of others. We rate Durham pretty highly too. I thought he showed, certainly in patches, but for most of the game, his capability.
Were you concerned that Nick Dacos was winning a lot of the ball forward of centre? It seemed to be in a lot of space in that first quarter. Did you make any adjustments to correct that?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the challenge. I mean, I think every team with him, you can mitigate that, but then you give something else up. So, we really wanted to take it up to Collingwood in the contest and in the stoppage game, and so we prioritised that. And when we weren't winning that made it a bit of a challenge. But I thought he's an explosive player who comes out the front of the contest. That was a focus for us to stop that. But again, you can train it, you can review it, you can watch vision, but doesn't mean you can execute it. So our execution wasn't up to the level that we planned.
I'll just ask you one more on Nick Dacos. Is his single greatest quality perhaps his anticipation? He just always seems to be like half a step ahead of everyone else at the stoppages.
Oh, yeah. The superlatives there aren't enough of them, but I just wouldn't underestimate the role that side bottom and Pendlebury play around that. You know, it's like they work and set things up extremely well for
Clear a path for him.
100%.
Yeah.
And I thought both of them did that really well as influencing the play, ball in hand as well. So I thought, you know, we're under pressure given, you know, their midfielders all played pretty well.
Just on that comms issue again, the phones going down. I mean, will the club write anything to the MCC or the AFL to please explain? It seems a bit crazy that, you know, something important like that gets taken away.
Yeah, it's a bit. If we did, you know, we issue our own please explain, and we get sorry, someone left a cable out in the rain. Like, okay, don't do it again. All right.
Can you find them?
Sorry.
Can you find them?
Oh, be nice. Be nice. Soft cap relief may be wrong. But, no, I mean, I wouldn't make too much of a deal of it personally. I mean, we it sounded like it was both teams. You know, certainly no excuses, that's for sure.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.